everyone, and welcome to Play Some Video Games. We are on episode 4. That's right, boys and girls. We've been doing this for a whole month now. Can you believe it? Anyway, welcome again. Welcome to the only podcast to question just where does Wolf Link store all those weapons when he transforms? On today's show, we got myself, Kevin, your host. Donnie, as always. Kyle is joining us, and newcomer Jake is on board for the first time this evening. So, Jake, just like everybody else does, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, glad to be on the podcast. Thanks for having me in. My name's Jake. I'm very passionate about gaming. I'm excited to be part of the PSVG crew, and I'm hoping I bring some diversity, bring some Xbox love in here. So let's get this going.
All right. Why don't you tell us your favorite video game memory, Jake?
Oh, definitely. Probably with bunch of kids around the neighborhood. We got the Xbox, and this is the original Xbox, not the 360 or anything like that. Back in the day, when that first release, the only way that you could game is by linking up two Xboxes together. So LAN parties, playing Halo, 4v4 boarding action. Great memories there. It's probably gonna be my most favorite memory, and it's one I'm going to cherish the most because Xbox is one of my first consoles I ever got, and I love the Xbox.
No, don't let him fool you, though, boys and girls. Jake is also a crazy Pokemon fan, too. So.
No, definitely. Love me some Pokemon. Just finished up playing Pokemon Blue before we started.
Hey, there you go. All right, I guess without further ado, guys, today the topic at hand is we're going to talk a little bit about the hardware stuff. So all three of the big companies kind of had news come out one way or another about their current gen or possibly next gen, wink, wink, consoles coming out. So we're going to take a little bit of time, break it down, talk a little bit about the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the upcoming code-named Nintendo NX. So if you're not familiar with the whole concept of NX, that is the hidden name, the code word, if you will, for the next Nintendo console. It's rumored to be coming out by the end of this year, but we'll put that on the back burner for right now. Kyle, why don't you go ahead and kick us off on the Xbox One news that came out?
All right, so as you all know, I'm a PlayStation guy, but was given the Xbox Beat. So Jake, if I mess any of this up, please jump in and tell me what I'm doing wrong.
All right.
Okay, perfect. So at the end of February, there was an Xbox press event, and all that news came out this week, and they really talked about two things. They talked a lot about games and a lot about the console future. We'll start talking a brief highlight on a few of the games that they talked about or spent some time on. Dark Souls 3, that was the first significant hands-on anybody had. 4 hours, it sounds like, is what most people got to play, and it sounds like it's more Dark Souls, kind of a combination of 1, little dash of 2, throw some Bloodborne in there, mix it all together in a blender, and you got Dark Souls 3. So if you really like Dark Souls, this sounds like another game right up your alley, but nothing too surprising, nothing really out of the box, or what people weren't expecting. Something that was maybe a little more out of the box, Forza is coming to PC. So Forza Motorsport 6 Apex is actually going to be a free-to-play Forza game that's going to be on Windows 10. So for those of you who are looking to do some racing on your PC, that might be an option for you. In addition, Gears of War Ultimate Edition was announced for Windows 10. As you're going to see, this is a theme kind of going through this conference, a lot of talk about Windows 10 at the Xbox gaming event. So in addition, Killer Instinct Season 3 was talked about. It's coming March 29th to Xbox One and Windows 10 as well. Some more information about Minecraft. There had been a rumor that Minecraft was going to have Oculus support, or you'd be able to play Minecraft in Oculus, and that sounds like you're going to be able to do that for sure. Minecraft Windows 10 Edition will support the Oculus, so that's something a lot of people seem really excited about. Ori and the Blind Forest is coming out with the Definitive Edition, so for those of you who loved a game that I thought looked really cool and has an amazing soundtrack that I listen to at work all the time, even though I've never played the game, you can check that out with some more action, some more abilities, sequences, some additional difficulty levels, and things like that, so that's coming out. And then the big ones that they focus on were Quantum Break and The Division. I think we've probably all heard a lot about Quantum Break and The Division and what's going on there. The interesting thing about Quantum Break, though, is that they said that the television episodes are not going to be on disc, which I think is interesting. So on Xbox, you'll be able to download them to watch them, but on PC, you'll have to stream them to watch them. So that, I thought, was some interesting game things. Jake, did I miss anything on the gaming side?
No, definitely not. But the only thing is, I think the Oculus Rift is actually called HoloLens by Microsoft.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, the HoloLens is what they're going with their VR title.
Right, but Minecraft itself, I think, is going to be playable in Oculus Rift.
Oh, it's right for the PC.
Yeah, for the PC. Yep.
Okay.
That's what I was talking about. So on the console side, they made a few more announcements about upcoming updates and other things they're going to do. I think one of the cooler things is that you're going to be able to purchase backward-compatible games on the Xbox One. So you'll be able to purchase basically 360 games from the Xbox Store on your Xbox One, which I think is really cool. So if there's those games you haven't gotten yet, those games you're trying to get through in your backlog, this might be a great chance for that. They're going to boost the size of Party Chat, so you'll now be able to support 16 people in Party Chat instead of 12, which is pretty sweet for if you have a lot of friends. That won't matter for me, but for other people, that's pretty awesome. You can also adjust the length of your game DVR now, which I think is pretty cool. Currently, game DVR is 30 seconds, but you'll be able to set it on your Xbox One to anywhere from 15 seconds up to 5 minutes that it'll record when you say Xbox One record or Xbox record that, which I think is kind of nice. That's nice to be able to adjust that, set it where you want to be. And then there was a number of other smaller updates that were talked about or done. I think the one big thing, though, that has a lot of people talking was what Phil Spencer had said about the potential future of Xbox and the console itself. And he said, I'm going to quote this, "We'll actually see us come out with new hardware capability during a generation and allowing the same games to run backward and forward compatible because we have the Universal Windows application running on top of the Universal Windows platform that allows us to focus more on hardware innovation without invalidating the games that run on the platform." And this caused a lot of confusion amongst people. Some people feel like, oh, this means that we're going to get peripheral add-ons for our Xbox One, that we're going to get a 32X tile thing that you can plug in and upgrade your Xbox One. Other people have said that means that we're going to get more like phones, where it's going to come, you're going to have a new Xbox One and then an Xbox 2 in a year, and then another year down the road you'll have an Xbox 3, but the games will be able to run on all of them. They'll just look better or perform better on that like newest generation Xbox. They've been pretty cagey from what I can understand about what that actually means. Nobody knows for certain, but there's a lot of rumors and conjecture out on the internet right now, and as gamers we love to assume and predict and guess what that means, but that was just another, I think, probably the most interesting thing that was said, and definitely the thing I think that has raised the most eyebrows from their conference.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely the whole kind of bridging the gap, if you will, between the PC and the Xbox One is a very smart play by Microsoft. I mean, you think about what Microsoft does best and what they've been known for, it's been the software. It's not ever really been the hardware game overall. Yes, they have the Xbox, that's their hardware, but remember, they don't make PCs. They make the operating system that all PCs run on. So it almost seems like they're, not that they're going to get away from the hardware game, but that they're veering away towards that and trying to bridge the gap to get the software out to as many possible consumers to make that profit back up that way. I think the whole conversation about the ability to upgrade the Xbox One down the line is very interesting. I can't wait to hear more about that, because that's a great concept. If they were able to go, 6-7 years into this life cycle of this next gen consoles, or current gen consoles rather, and not have to buy a whole new box, that's pretty promising. I would be pumped to do that. I'm not one that likes to jump and say, hey, I'm going to drop $400 or $500 on a new console when it comes out. I do it begrudgingly when I have to. But I think that's definitely a cool concept, and I'm anxious to hear more about it because, like you said, they were a little kind of dancing around the announcement without giving hard details, but it's definitely got people excited, and as a gamer, the more people that can play, the better. I'm not one of the people who want to sit there and say, well, no, I got this exclusive, and I want it to be exclusive for this. If everybody can play it and enjoy it, then more power to them. It doesn't bother me at all. So, Jake, what's your opinions on the whole take?
Xbox really hasn't failed me yet. They did make a lot of mistakes with the Xbox One at the beginning of the launch with backwards compatibility, and now they're saying hey, we can do this now. But yeah, they haven't really failed me. They love their online play. They're great. The party chat being increased to 16 is great. Their ability to change it from 30 seconds with the record on there and bring up to 5 minutes, that's pretty awesome. So I'm excited to see what the future brings for Xbox One.
Cool. Donnie, what's your take?
So, if I have this right, I'm not going to be able to play Rise of the Tomb Raider, Forza, Gears of War, Ori and the Blood Force, which is already there, Quantum Break, Sea of Thieves, and Fable Legends on my PC. Correct?
As long as you got Windows 10.
as long as you have Windows 10. And I listen to IGN Overclocked, which is their PC community podcast, and I know they made a lot of qualms today about it being restricted to Windows 10. And to your point, to counter your point where you said they're trying to get their games to the masses, they're not really. They're using their games as an incentive to upgrade to Windows 10. They're trying to get the masses to come join their new operating system, which is free, I think, still? Is it still free?
I'm not sure. The new computer I bought had it on it. I know a lot of people that have upgraded from it that are having gripes, but I can tell you having a PC from the ground up that had it built in, I'm not having any issues whatsoever, too. So I think it kind of just depends on your experience you're coming from. But as far as I know, I believe it's still free as long as you had a Windows 7 or an 8, I believe.
I updated from Windows 8 on an HP that I bought in September because Windows 10 absolutely rendered my Lenovo useless. There wasn't Microsoft's problem, it was Lenovo's problem. They basically told me it'll be a few weeks before our drivers are ready, so I just scrapped it, went and traded it in, and bought something else. I had been looking for an Xbox One. I kind of put one in my Amazon deal alert thing, if I could find a cheap one, simply for our site. I wanted to play with Nathan and anybody else that has it. And with this announcement, I'm kind of thinking, that's never going to happen. I don't see them having a game outside of the ones I just read that's so awesome that makes me want to go buy more hardware. And I can understand if you are an Xbox guy and you bought an Xbox One and you really believe in that brand, I could see how you're being upset about this news because you might feel like, this is going to make the Xbox One sell less than it already is, and you're already getting taken to the woodshed right now by PlayStation 4. That said, this is a great business move for Microsoft, which is a bigger brand than Xbox, and to be honest with you, this is long overdue. Out of the slot of games that they mentioned, I'm kind of upset that the Halo Master Chief Collection wasn't included. One thing that we should note for the podcast for listeners is that none of these games are coming to Steam. These are all Windows 10, Windows Store exclusive games. So if you love your Steam library and all that, you're not going to be able to play Forza in Steam. You're going to have to buy it on your Windows 10 PC and their little Windows Store, which lacks a lot for gaming. That said, I don't have any issues with this. I'm going to get to play games that I currently can't play on my PC. It might mean that I don't buy extra hardware, but it also might mean that I buy more games. I already own Ori and the Blind Forest, and I'll probably buy it definitively. That was one of my favorite games. That's a really, really good game. It's beautiful. I'm glad you brought up the soundtrack, Kyle, because I also own the soundtrack, and you're absolutely right. The soundtrack is, that is superb. If anybody, even if you don't want to play the game, if you just like good music, go download the soundtrack. Outside of that, the generational hardware, call me skeptic. I'd like to see them do it. The only thing that comes to mind is like a PC, that certain games run at different settings on different hardware specs. However, if they do that more than twice in a generation, I think it might be a bad move. Like 4 or 5 years from now, if Gears of War 8 comes out and it runs amazingly on their newest in model and it runs like trash on your original Xbox One, I don't think that does a service to the brand. I say runs like trash. If it runs at really low settings, really low resolution, just if you put a comparison next to those two and they don't look good, that could hurt the brand. So I'm skeptic. I'm very skeptical of how generational hardware could go. Generally, we just launch a new console, even if it's built on the same architecture. You launch a new console because you get a new wave of customers that want to buy something new, especially in the console market. I think this announcement was for the PC market, which I'm happy for. I think a lot of PC gamers should be happy about this. But in the console market, for console gamers, they don't want to hear that you're going to keep upgrading the system every 2 or 3 years and that their system is going to become outdated. They bought a console. They want you to do as good as you can by that console until they get their money's worth. And then they want to buy a new console. One of the things that I think is impressive with the PlayStation 4 sales and the Xbox One sales, the Xbox One, even though it's not selling like PS4, is still selling really well compared to Xbox 360. And the reason why I think both of these consoles have sold well is because we were ready for a new console generation. by the time these things came out, man, we wanted to buy new hardware. We were tired of playing on our old hardware that we had for 8, 9, 7 years. So, generational leaps, just call me skeptical. I don't know if we'll actually see that come to fruition. I think that's something real easily said than done, but you never know. I mean, if they roll out E3 with a slim model that runs better with, better hard drive and better processor, and then next year they do it again, I mean, I'll eat crow, but until then, I just think that's something real nice to say. I mean, if you're doing a PC-focused release like they did, isn't that kind of something you're going to say? I mean, because that's what PC gamers love to do. They like to be on the cutting edge, the latest and greatest. They upgrade their rigs all the time.
Agreed. And I think we'll definitely have more on our reaction to the Xbox E3 panel, I'm sure, because I bet this will be a big focus. And if I'm a betting man, Halo for PC will be announced at E3. That's just my input there. I think it's something PC gamers would love to get their hands on. I would love to see what the modding community does with it. So I think we'll definitely hear more at E3. I think that's a given. All right, so moving off of Xbox then, let's talk a little bit about the PlayStation 4 and what they got up their sleeve right now. They're currently beta testing their next software update, version 3.5, codename Musashi. Regardless. The new features in this update is some things that we should have had probably at launch, but they're slowly but surely adding them back in. Things like friend online notification, so that way your friends will pop up saying, like, hey, Jake just signed on, so that way something that was standard on the PS3, but for some reason wasn't on the PS4. You'll have the ability to appear offline, so if you're gaming and don't want to be bothered by people popping in and inviting to join your party or to have you join another game, you can appear offline so that way they can't cyber stalk you. You will be able to schedule events. Now, this is pretty cool. I think you'll be able to, if I wanted to sit there and play, Injustice with my friends, I can schedule an event saying, okay, Jake, on Saturday at 8 o'clock, we're going to game, and you'll get the invite. And you'll get it on your PS4, and we'll be able to play together. When your event starts, any user who's registered for the event will automatically be added to the party, so it can be played right away, so you don't even need to consciously join the party. It will do it for you if you accepted my invite. And you'll be able to play together. This feature allows all members of a party to see what each person is playing, so you can easily join a friend's game or start a new game together. Other system features included, this is pretty cool too, so along the same lines as Xbox and what they're trying to do, there will be remote play on the PC, which is pretty awesome for PlayStation fans. And then the big thing is it will also be able to work with the Mac. So once that's up there, it'll be able to remote play on any PC or Mac. It's not available if you're testing in the beta, but when the official software update does launch, it will be on there. Other system features, you'll be able to live stream directly to Dailymotion on PS4. They'll also support archiving live broadcasts like they do for other streaming services with Dailymotion. Dailymotion, I don't think it's too big in the U.S. It's a European-based streaming like a la Twitch, but it's a cool feature nonetheless. Now, when this rolled out to beta testers, they all got like a special email that came through, giving them instructions on how to download and what features were on there. And there was also this little gray box that had other features that were not announced that they said, hey, please don't tell anybody about these features. Well, guess what? Somebody leaked them online anyway. So other things that they did not advertise that's on there, you can share other players' activities. So, if Jake wins a platinum trophy in Far Cry 4, I can go ahead and share that as he's my friend and I want to show people what he's doing. You can share that. PlayStation Network service status can now be checked directly from the operating system. So if PlayStation Network is down again, you'll be able to check without having to Google it for once. You can actually just check through your system and it'll tell you, hey, we're not working right now, which you'd think that's a feature you wouldn't want, but unfortunately with the PlayStation Network being what it is lately, it's going to come in handy, I feel. Notification messages are no longer displayed when friends join parties. So that won't join, when Jake jumps in, it won't necessarily pop up and tell me he joined in my party. It'll just pop up on there. And more features now support accessibility. So, closed captions for the hearing impaired and stuff like that has been improved. So little things that aren't anything huge other than I think the service status updates will be available on there. So, like I said, nothing earth-shattering, groundbreaking other than I think the whole remote play from the PC Mac. But everything else just shows that PlayStation's continue to add the features in. It's a work in progress, but they're staying focused and kind of rolling out, 12 different features that come out in a single update. So I'm pretty excited to see when it comes through. I did try and sign up for the beta. I have not gotten an invite yet. So if I do, I'll be sure to update everybody with how it all works if I'm able to test it out. But Kyle, what do you think?
Well, I do think it's kind of sad, but also very funny that they're going to have status indicator that you can just check. Like, I think that is a really big indication about how reliable PSN is and how often that thing goes down, which is still kind of sad and unfortunate in this day and age. I'm definitely excited about the streaming to PC and Mac. I think that's a great move by them. I think that is a feature that will probably be really well utilized. And I hadn't heard about those other options that have been talked about, and I think it's really interesting that they're continuing to focus on accessibility of their console to those who maybe don't have full function of their hands or maybe are visually impaired or hearing impaired. And I think that's really great with the full button remapping that they have and now the continued closed captioning. I just really applaud their effort in that area. I think it's a thing that they could easily pass over and no one would really notice, but I think it's really awesome that they continue to put some focus and some effort in that area to make gaming as accessible to as many people as they can.
Cool. Jake, what do you think?
I mean, I personally don't own a PlayStation 4 as of right now. Definitely looking to get one. But it seems like they're bringing the online experience similar to what the Xbox is. I've heard a lot of great things that it's even better than what Xbox offers. So, you mean, with all these sweet new features that they're throwing out there today, it's going to be great. I think that the online experience is going to get even better as we go on, and I hope that PlayStation steals ideas from Xbox, Xbox steals ideas from PlayStation, just because the online experience is pretty much why you're buying a console now. I can sign on, play with you, Kevin. We'll play some games. We'll be able to get caught up in things like that. So when it comes to online gaming, everything and all news is great unless the system goes down, and then that's not great news.
I agree. One thing I forgot to mention, too, it wasn't on this press release I had, but they did mention that the party sizes were going to increase on the PlayStation Network as well. I don't have the exact number, so I do apologize, but that was another feature rolling out with this. You'll be able to increase your party chat and stuff to more people. Donnie, what do you think?
I sold my Vita today.
Oh, so disappointed in you. So disappointed.
I mean, I've become a more portable gamer in the last 2 years, just because of my schedule and everything. I'm usually working most weekends and all that jazz. So I've carried my trusty 3DS and my Vita with me from time to time. And most of my PlayStation gaming, especially I'd say all of my PlayStation gaming in 2016, I haven't picked up my PS4 and turned it on probably since December. All of my gaming in PlayStation has been on my Vita, and when they announced Remote Play, I was like, well, there's no reason for me to keep my Vita anymore. I mean, that was really kind of, when I say all of my gaming was on the Vita, most of my gaming was remoting into my PS4 and playing PS4 games like Knack and The Order on my Vita. So I love the announcement, the party features and whatnot. I mean, I don't really play a lot of online multiplayer. I'm sure when we do a Let's Play, that'll be a really great thing for us to use as a site. But the big thing for me is Remote Play on PC, and that makes me want to play my PC even more. I wonder if you can play with a 360 controller. Not that I would. I love my DualShock 4, but I've tried hooking up my DualShock 4 to the PC, and I've tried using some third-party button mapping and whatnot, and it's not been good. So I'm hoping when this release comes, it's got a really elegant solution for DualShock 4 support. I'm sure it will. But if it doesn't, I do hope that I can just use whatever kind of gamepad I want, which I'll use a 360 controller. But being able to remote into my PC and play Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which I've still yet to get to, or The Witcher, on my PC and my laptop, which I basically carry around with me at all times, I mean, this is a great coup. I haven't played much PC games, but I do play a lot on my Vita, and being able to blow that up to a bigger screen and take advantage of their little Gaikai streaming remote play app. And I'm assuming that's what they're building this off of, the same thing that the phones and the tablets and the Vita use. I'm assuming they're just going to bring it to the PC. I think it's going to be great. I'm real excited about it. Like I said, I mean, I sold my Vita. I basically banked the money as my NX down payment. So I got a pretty good deal, and I'm just going to sit on it and wait. I mean, Kyle, I'm sorry. Why is there a reason to have a Vita if you can remote play? I mean, I've played a bunch of games, man, so I know there's got games, but I've played the games, and I'm not going to replay them anymore. So at that point, I mean, I don't think we'll be sitting here at E3 looking at the great Vita library that's coming, right?
Probably not, but I think there's still a lot of very good games that exist on it, and there are a number of good games that are coming. You are correct that if you're using it mostly to remote play, and you're going to do that on your laptop now or your PC, you're right. It maybe doesn't make a lot of sense. I was playing Volume on it just before, started playing some Saturday Morning RPG. Like, there's a lot of really solid games on that little device, and I it's sad to me that it's on its last throes, but I've enjoyed my time with it, no doubts.
Excellent, cool. And also got notification, too, that the PlayStation capacity will be going up from 8 to 16 people in the PSN parties with that update, too. So that's the fact that I missed there. You'll be able to have 16 people in your party, so party away, folks. All right, so I think that pretty much wraps up the whole PlayStation conversation. Not a whole heck of a lot, but once again, just similar to Xbox, they're laying the groundwork for the future of it, so it's always exciting to see what they have up their sleeve. And I definitely want to point out, I definitely agree with Jake as to what he had mentioned, too, that I hope that these two continue to kind of copy and feed off each other, because it's only going to be better for everybody when they keep trying to stay competitive and pushing each other to stay honest and come up with new stuff if they're both doing the same thing. So I think this will lead us to the conversation on the codename Nintendo NX. So at this point, I shall turn it over to Donnie.
All right, we get to dive into rumor control here. I'll go ahead and credit our original source as dualpixels.com. They have a very famous leaker by the name of Gino. If you've never heard of this name or this person regarding to leaked rumors, he leaked and was correct on Xbox's Illumaroom, which I'm still waiting to see more on. I thought that was awesome, by the way. If you guys have never seen Illumaroom, go YouTube that. I thought that was cool. He also leaked Pokemon X and Y to include new Pokemon fairy types, which he got absolutely right. He leaked PlayStation 4 support for Frostbite and Unreal 4, which at their unveiling they showed off. So, excuse me, I would say that's a credible rumor. And this person has come across some information claiming to be from companies that have NX dev kits. Now, dev kits have been the rumor for Nintendo NX as of late because everyone's expecting this to be a 2016 launch, and it looks like that's going to be the case. However, a lot of indie devs and Nintendo devs are like Nindies. They've yet to see it. So most people think that the only folks that actually have their hands on these right now are your bigger ticket developers, EA, Activision, Square Enix, Capcom, these type of folks. But regardless, here's what we have from this credible source on what the Nintendo NX is. It has a wireless HDMI dongle that attaches to any device. So you would think that this piggybacks off of the very impressive Wii U streaming technology. I know the Wii U isn't thought of as a technological marvel. I think in a lot of ways that's Nintendo's fault because they don't really talk specs and get into direct comparisons with their competitors. They like to focus more on their product. That said, what the Wii U does with that tablet is pretty amazing. I don't think I've ever seen any streaming device that pulls that off that well. I just said I remote play to my PS4 constantly with my Vita, and it's not like the gamepad is with the Wii U, even though, I mean, obviously the gamepad has to be within, I think it's like 25, 30 feet, but, I mean, it is one-to-one on the money. I mean, that's why it supports off TV play. You can literally just play your game on your gamepad while you're just sitting there, and it runs just like it would on the TV running directly off the box. So they've got this very impressive streaming tech, and it looks like they're leveraging it. The analog controls for movement have small motors in them for full haptic feedback. This means that if you control a character and hit a wall, the sticks move away from the direction of that wall to simulate running headfirst into it. This could also be used for jerking when firing a gun, taking damage, moving over rough terrain. This sounds like one of those crazy Nintendo things that actually might revolutionize a controller going forward for the entire industry. I mean, that sounds really good. We've had rumble controllers, like every controller shakes, but actually getting rumble in the correct direction, just like hearing sound, out of the right, side of your headphones or whatnot, that could really do wonders for immersive gameplay. It supports Bluetooth and will sync with your phones and tablets. The source goes as far as saying that you could see texts coming in from your phone if you choose to directly onto your screen. In terms of power, which is really what everybody wants to get to, this leaker, says his source puts it close to the Xbox One, which would, I mean, that ties up with that GameStop survey we saw a couple months ago. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. You ever just get something in your throat and you're like, this isn't going to go away? That GameStop survey we got about 2 months ago put the Nintendo had a survey asking customers if they would be interested in a device that output, I believe, at 900p. And that set the internet ablaze when it was leaked because everybody was like, we've got 1080p already, 900p is terrible. This source says, but the app idea is really more towards Wii U times 50 or PlayStation Vita times 100. The key is that the tech is exactly the same layout as the PS4 and Xbox One, which then combined with the OS's strong emulation functions and compiler means that any game can run off a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One can be easily ported to the NX with near zero modification. So my thoughts on reading this bullet point is, A, the NX sounds like a handheld. It sounds like a handheld device that you can stream to a TV, and if you were pushing 900p from a handheld device, boy, that is some serious power. I mean, if you're getting, even if it's not near Xbox One, if it's near Xbox One quality, but it's on a portable that you can take with you and stream to displays, this sounds like a really neat device. Pretty powerful. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good spec. I love the idea that they're going to actually get rid of their Project Cafe setup with their processors and RAM. Nintendo needs third-party support. And the best way to get Nintendo third-party support is making it easy on third parties to get their games up for their console. I mean, that's what we heard with the Wii U, is that it's so hard to develop for the gamepad, and it's so hard to port over to these different architecture. I don't even think. I am definitely a hardcore, base core Nintendo gamer. I don't buy Nintendo products to buy third-party games. That said, the masses buy products to play third-party games, and if Nintendo wants to sell more than 13 million Wii U's next go-around, they need to make sure that Call of Duties and Assassin's Creeds and Star Wars Battlefronts and all these games come to their console. So I love the idea. If that's true, if just this bullet point is true, if Nintendo's new architecture marries up with the rest of the industry, that's a huge win for Nintendo. Because now you're getting all of your Nintendo stuff, plus all these other games. Because even if they don't sell extremely well on Wii U, if you can make it extremely cheap for the dev to put it over there, they're going to bring it over just to sell whatever it sells. If they sell 50,000 units, hey, if all they got to do is kind of copy and paste with an alteration here or there, I mean, that 50,000 units is going to make it worth it to them. The last bullet point says is, look to Pokemon Go to get an idea of the type of social features that will be a part of NX. You want to be able to take multiplayer and Street Pass concept to a whole new level. Works between your phones, your DSs. I mean, this is kind of the whole My Nintendo. We've already seen this. They're pulling your Google account, they're pulling your Twitter account, your Facebook account, whatever it is. They want to be a part of it, and it looks like this is kind of ingrained into this new operating system. I love the operating system is already being mentioned as a strong emulation capabilities. We just saw Super Nintendo Entertainment games coming to 3DS. I think we all really hope that Nintendo's entire catalog comes to the NX at day one, literally right out of the gate. And I think we all hope that when you log in with your Nintendo account, that all of your previous purchases are there and ready and waiting for you. And like all of the PR that they've had over the past 3 months, and there hasn't been much in terms of real PR, but all the leaks and everything, it all's kind of pointing towards this new Nintendo, and I'm excited for it. So this is all rumor. I don't want anybody to walk away from this podcast thinking that this is exactly what will be shown at E3. However, like I said, our source has a long history of credible information. So based on his history, I think you got to take it as at least partly true.
I agree, and to piggyback a little bit off what you said, so for those of you listening who didn't hear the bonus pod we put up today, actually while we're recording, kind of going over the Nintendo Direct, please do. you might say, like Donnie said, these are all rumors, so take it with a grain of salt. There's no proof yet. Nintendo's having some issues keeping secrets right now. I think it's no secret at all that a lot of stuff is leaking out of a company who historically was one of the most private companies. You never heard, an announcement from Nintendo, years ago until they were ready to tell you about it. But you had the Pokemon Sun and Moon leak out, as well as the logos before they announced it. We saw everything from Nintendo's Direct yesterday. I literally think every single thing was leaked prior. So it's a track record.
Twilight Princess leaked.
That's right, Twilight Princess.
Leaked.
Yep. It's a track record going on now. So I agree that this may not be exactly what it's going to be, but I think these aspects are definitely going to be part of it. I think that's something you kind of can't ignore. And it's exciting because, let's be honest, if you look at, yes, the Wii U is not sold what they were anticipating. It's still a great system with amazing features. But if you roll back through Nintendo's history, they have a repeated track record of testing technology out, and then it's showing up years down the line implemented a lot better. You look at things like Virtual Boy. That was the first step in VR and using 3D gaming. Now we have 3DSs in our handheld. So that same technology was improved over years and made way better. You look at, motion control. That was started by Nintendo, the Wii. It was awesome. They made it even better with the Wii U. They're constantly testing things and making them better and better and better. So as much as I don't want to say that the Wii U is a test project, I kind of think it was a little bit. So I'll be sad to see it go so quick in my mind because it's been, 3 years, I think, tops?
4.
4 years? Okay, so not bad, but when you look at, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360s, how long that lifespan was, it's a little shorter than I would have liked. However, I think it's exciting to see what's going on. Nintendo continues to test, develop, and perfect things, so I'm excited to see what it is, and once again, that Nintendo Direct, definitely listen to our recap, watch it on YouTube. It kind of was hey, this is all the stuff we got coming out, and I really strongly feel, and I said this on the other cast, that E3 is going to be all about Zelda and about the NX, maybe some portable stuff, but I think that's going to be 90% of Nintendo's E3 is going to be dominated by the NX. So I'm excited, and we'll, of course, be going over more details as it comes through. Kyle, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of interested in an NX now. I really wasn't super interested before, but I think they're doing some cool things. I think it is doing some things that makes me sit back and take notice and think a little bit about whether or not I want to pick up the new Nintendo console, handheld, whatever it's going to be. The one thing it is ensuring, though, is I'm not going to buy a Wii U. I'm definitely not buying one of those now until I know more about this and what's going to happen with it. So, I think for them, they know what situation they're in. They probably recognize that they want to get the NX out as quickly as they can, but they want it to be a really good piece of hardware because I don't know how many more chances they have. Like, if you look at their track record, their handhelds have done really well, but the Wii was a big anomaly as far as their sales go. Everything else was trending downward until the Wii. The Wii was a huge spike. People loved it, and now the Wii U has kind of brought them back to where they were from a console perspective for sales and where they've really been going since the early 90s. So I hope for them that it does great. I'm definitely interested to see what it's going to be. But because of all the rumors and everything it's talking about, there's no way I'm pulling the trigger on a Wii U now. I'm just going to kind of wait and see what the NX has in store for us.
That's a solid opinion. I can definitely respect that. At this point, I think if you're not on the Wii U bandwagon, I kind of would have to agree with you, Kyle, and say hold off, at least see what's going to happen. And if you do want to play some of these titles that are available on the Wii U, then wait for the inevitable price drop when the NX does come out. So that's not a bad strategy at all. One thing, though, you kind of totally reminded me about it, too, was remember the E3 when they announced the Wii U? The media and the industry kind of went into a frenzy over this. They were like, oh my God, Nintendo's doing something so unique, so amazing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yes, it did not turn out in their favor as well as they'd like it, but they were the only person during that E3 talking about the hardware. I think we're going to have a perfect storm again for Nintendo at this E3 because they, once again, will be one of the only people talking about the hardware. Xbox can talk about, the new features they're implementing like we talked about earlier. PlayStation, I'm sure, will have more updates about, more feature they can put in. They'll be talking about their VR. That'll probably be the only hardware being talked about, where Nintendo's going to run the floor and say, hey, we got a new console coming out. I think that's definitely going to work in their favor, and if it really is a lot of these same specs and features that are rumored, that's going to be a big plus for Nintendo if they come out with an aggressive price point. If they come out saying this is going to drop this holiday season, I think they might have a winner on their hands again. We might have another Wii perfect storm on our hands again. So, Jake, what's your take on it?
A lot of rumors spreading around, and Donnie, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think they are announcing a handheld for 2016 and then a actual console for 2017. I thought they were two separate.
That's a rumor.
Okay.
From what I've read, and I do try to keep really up to date with that, that seems like an unsubstantiated rumor. I don't know. From the leak that we've heard with this, plus the leak that leaked the Nintendo Direct also leaked the rest of the catalog for the rest of the year, including NX's catalog. So if you're interested, you can go find that. These are what I consider the most
reputable.
Yeah, sources. From both of those, it doesn't sound like a dual launch. I mean, it could just be all focused one way and then the other. But I mean, it really, to me, it sounds like what we're going to get is a hybrid. And a lot of people have been pointing towards this. And I don't think there is a two-piece to this hybrid system. I think we are getting either a portable with a box that you connect to your TV that helps it stream, or a portable with a dongle that helps it stream. But I can't help but think that we're getting a portable system because the 3DS sales have went in the tank in this year. And I mean, Nintendo makes their bread and butter on portable systems. Don't let the Wii fool you. With the GBA, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy DS, 3DS, Nintendo makes their money on portable systems. And I think they see that as a marketplace that separates them from the competition. So as long as they're giving you the ability to play on your TV, I think we're going to continue to see them support a portable-esque platform. So in my opinion, right now, based on the evidence that we've seen, I think we're getting a portable that has some sort of functionality with your other devices and your televisions, and I think that's Nintendo's focus going forward. And we've already seen them tie their console and portable game development divisions together, and I think they want to... I point to Smash Brothers as the ultimate example. I mean, we saw Smash Brothers on Wii U looks amazing. It plays amazing. It's got all these characters. We saw every one of those things and all DLC for that game also come to 3DS. Now, it doesn't look as good. It's not as good a game, but there is a 3DS version of that game. And I think that, in my opinion, kind of serves as an example, just like Kevin said, as a test patient of what's to come. I think you're going to have the Nintendo NX that runs a version of the game on a portable, and then you get also this enhanced version on your TV.
All right, cool. Yeah. So with that said, my thoughts on it are, I'm excited for anything that Nintendo does, especially when it comes to handheld. I own every single Pokemon game. I love playing their portable game, and it kind of allows you to play something different. But I think their thing that they're really going to need to focus on is their marketing, and I think they always fail at that, where they focus so much on media, like internet media, Twitter, YouTube a lot, with the Nintendo Directs. They're not really throwing these trailers out on television. I think that's what they really need to focus a lot of their time on, to bring up the hype for people and let people who aren't knowledgeable, give them, hey, this is what we have, rather than focusing on people selling their products.
I think we'll see Nintendo return to E3 at the big conference. Reason I say that is I think they've got something really special to show. I mean, if these rumors are true, and again, the source, especially Gino, I mean, his track record, makes you really, I mean, I think you should believe it. I mean, it is a rumor, but I think it's a rumor worth believing. And if that's true, they've got something special to show. I mean, this is something we haven't seen before. The Vita can run quasi-console game quality locally, but it really doesn't. I mean, I played Killzone and I played Uncharted, and it's more like an illusion. Like, it's got pretty colors and whatnot, but when you really stare at those games, I mean, they're not what you get on your PS3 and your PS4. I mean, didn't they have a lawsuit for that, Kyle? But if they can push, 900p, which is really good HD quality on a decent screen, and if it ties to your other devices, and if they can make it something that you want to carry with you, you want to add it to your cell phone, I mean, to be honest with you, if they launch Zelda NX and a Pokemon game on NX and a Mario game on NX, I think we're all going to be sitting here on June 15th talking about how we're all going to buy one because, quite frankly, Nintendo's numbers prove that when they launch certain type of games with hardware sells. I agree with you, Jake. The Wii U was a disaster in terms of PR. I mean, that's what really killed it. It wasn't a lack of coverage because there was a ton of coverage. That was the problem. It was the type of coverage they were getting. Everybody walked out of there going, oh my God, asynchronous gameplay, and is it a tablet, is it a controller, is it an accessory for a Wii? To be honest with you, I didn't find it that hard to follow. I honestly didn't see where all the confusion was from. I think maybe that was kind of drummed up as the Nintendo should have done a better job, and quite honestly, they probably should have. I think we're going to see a launch very similar to the PlayStation 4. I don't want to spend too much time going over yesterday's Direct news, but I will say yesterday's Direct really kind of pointed to we're focusing on the future, as Kevin's already kind of hinted at, and I think we're going to see a Direct or a video presentation or something pre-E3 that goes, hey, we're launching something new. Here's what it is. Here's the hardware. I hope you understand it. Come watch our E3 show where we're going to show you all of these games we have for this new hardware. And I think we're going to see that very similar pattern that we saw Sony take with the PS4, where they show you the hardware, maybe the controller. If it's a portable, they'll show you the whole thing. And then E3 comes, games for the new launch. And then, hey, they've got that Fallout 4 window where we showed you the games. Guess what? 5 months, you're buying it.
Agreed. I think definitely Jake brought up a good point about the marketing. I know there were some other leaked documents that came out with the leaked documents for the Nintendo Direct that kind of highlighted Nintendo's marketing budget, actually. So if that's true, it is still a little scary because I believe, don't quote me on this though, but I believe the marketing for the NX was listed as $20 million, which isn't a lot in marketing dollars when you think about it, but if they're able to ride that E3 hype train, you'll have everybody talking about it, and I think that, once again, will work in their favor. I think the confusion with the Wii U, as you mentioned, where a lot of people walked out saying, what is it? Is it go with the Wii? Does it not? E3 brings out a lot of different publishers and reporters that know nothing about gaming, but they want to talk about these huge companies in this industry that they really don't grasp the concept on. So I think gamers followed it, but I think the overall populace didn't. So if Nintendo's able to launch this NX and announce it rather, and be able to define what it is, maybe even put it in people's hands, then they won't need to spend the marketing dollars to get people's awareness out there. But that's just my 2 cents. Before we move on, does anybody else have anything else on the NX? Cool. Silence is golden. Then from here, we'll move on to the news topics of the week. Kyle, why don't you start us off, man?
All right, so I feel like there was a lot of news this week, but I have to say, guys, No Man's Sky, June 21st. I feel like I might be the only person still excited for this game, but I am really excited for this game. And all the videos that have come out, the playthroughs that people have had, and the hands-on time the sites have had on it now, make me even more excited for this game. The fact that it's not confirmed, but basically confirmed for PlayStation VR makes me even more excited for it. No Man's Sky, June 21st. I know what I'll be doing for the next 6 months probably after that. I am super stoked. Really happy that that's a pretty firm date, it sounds like. Really excited for No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were excited about it. I'm personally not on that hype train, so that's just me. It does seem like an intriguing concept. I do want to learn more about it before definitively saying it's a yes or a no for me, so I'm staying open-minded about it. But it is good to see that prior to E3, they're putting their foot down and saying, nope, it is coming out, believe it or not. We've talked about this forever, but here's the date it's coming out. I think it's going to be fun to watch and see what happens. It's certainly an original concept, and we'll see what it does. Jake, what's your take on No Man's Sky?
I don't have a take. The game got announced in 2004, 2006, roughly.
Wow, haters throwing shade, man.
Well, no, you can't announce something and 40 years later, look at what happened with Duke Nukem. That's all I can say. And if it's going to be a great game, I think it's a PS4 exclusive, if I'm not mistaken.
PC.
Oh, PC? Yeah, so I won't be playing that.
Womp womp. To each their own. Jake, what do you got for us news-wise this week?
Yeah, you mean a lot of talk going around about Division taking over Destiny. Destiny was that RPG console massive multiplayer game that everybody was playing, and the Division is possibly taking that over come March 8th because it's coming out, I think, next Tuesday, and that's a lot. I'm curious to see what you guys think about that because Destiny has been such a huge hit for Bungie, and now you have Ubisoft coming in here. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Coming in and making an RPG, and when you look at games like what was that game that they made? The Siege, Rainbow Six Siege, and it was non-playable for almost a month for people. So
Yeah.
I'm curious what you guys think. I know Kevin didn't play Destiny, but I'm hoping Kyle or Donnie played some Destiny.
I played Destiny, and I played the beta, and I honestly I played with Paolo from Married to the Games, and he tried to get me through there, and I had no idea what I was doing. To be honest with you, Jake, if you don't have a story or something to point me in a direction, if I have no reason or rhyme for what I'm doing, like I lost interest so fast. I ended up shooting somebody that I think was like playing with me at some point. I remember being like in this cavern and somebody showed up and and they were like, "Don't shoot him," and I just got lost. It was, I don't know. That game I had a really bad first impression with that game.
The story really is really tough because it's kind of all text, so you kind of have to read your way through everything and to find everything, the dead ghosts and all that stuff. It's tough to follow, but I'm just talking about getting in together, going onto a fire team, going to a raid, that bringing everybody together moment, and that's what I think Division's going to come in here and give that storyline and give you all of that, and I think that's why it's going to be replacing Destiny.
I mean, if it's like, I'm really bad with video game names, as you can tell. At least like in conversation, I can see the game. Watch Dogs. There you go. Like I can see the cover. I'm looking at the cover with the guy with his hat on. If it's like Watch Dogs in terms of narrative, I'd be all for it. I really liked narrative, and Ubisoft, which makes the Division, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Ubisoft is fantastic. I liked all the Assassin's Creed stories, I think. Can't think of one I didn't. I liked 3, and I know a lot of people didn't like 3. I liked 3. And even Rayman has, good narrative and good direction. And I won't say good story, but I mean, it's got good direction. You understand why you are Rayman and why you're Raymanning around. So, I mean, I could go with you on that. I think the Division will have a good narrative, and I still don't think, at least for me, I'm not going to play it. It's not my type of game. I'm not Mr. Online Shooter guy. Like I get Call of Duty so I can play the campaign, and then I may play like a weekend of matches with somebody, and then I move on to the next thing. So it's not really my gig, but if it is yours, I'm all happy for you. Everybody's got their gaming tastes. It looks good, I'll tell you that. I mean, it looks like a really good game. I really like the setting. If anything else, like narrative and story aside, I think the setting is really, really good. I mean, they have a setting, at least in my opinion, is ripe for a really good story to tell. And it's that post-apocalyptic, but not all zombie-ridden and monsters and stuff. This is a human kind of inflicted, disaster that you have to kind of live in this world that everybody else is kind of having to deal with. So I think that's really good.
Kyle, what's your take? Because I want to go last on this one.
Okay, so I played Destiny to about level 15, so I didn't play it too long. I thought the game played really, really well. I just don't play a lot of online games anymore. I don't have a ton of time for that. It's really hard for me to coordinate schedules with people. Life is so hard. But no, I mean, I thought the game played fantastically. I don't have time for a lot of that stuff anymore. And I kind of feel the same way about the Division. I think it looks cool. I won't be picking it up. I do think it's kind of interesting that they're not sending out review copies until the game goes live. I get it from the sense that they want them to play it in the environment with all of the community, but that's just something that historically that means something for what they're thinking for ratings for games. But there's been so many betas and times for people to play that I don't think it doesn't seem like they should be worried about it. It seems like most people are really enjoying the game that have played it. So, yeah, I mean, I played Destiny. I won't be playing the Division, maybe if I can get it cheap someday. So I'm really interested, though, to hear what you have to say, Kevin.
All right, so first I want to note, I believe I just noticed that Kyle is wearing a Orange Iguanas t-shirt from Legends of the Hidden Temple. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, awesome. Just had to point that out first. All right, so the reason I wanted to go last on this one, a couple different reasons. It actually ties directly into my story, Jake. So you almost scared me there for a second, thinking you stole my story. I did play the Division's beta. I do actually really like this. So while Destiny didn't really pique my interest as something I wanted to dive into, although Taken King almost had me buy it a couple times, I think the Division is definitely something on my radar, at least for now. Like Donnie had said, I love the setting. I think the story is ripe. I think, as Kyle mentioned, the reason that review copies aren't going out is because I think this is a game that you're going to have to play multiplayer. And if you don't have people to play with, you're not going to get the real experience. And we know how fickle critics can be sometimes, where if everything's not perfect, that score goes from like an 8 or a 9 to like a 5 or a 6. And when, as gamers, see that rating 9 times out of 10, we avoid it like the plague. So I think Ubisoft is trying to do the right thing there and control the storm, if you will. But the way they're trying to control the storm ties into my story. So a recent advertisement for Ubisoft's upcoming The Division suggests that a gaming website declared it to be better than Destiny. The story goes like this. The Division, which comes out next week, has drawn all sorts of comparisons to Bungie's Destiny thanks to their shared genre. Both games are online-only RPG shooter hybrids that will undoubtedly vie for the same audiences for months and years to come. Perhaps unable to resist themselves, Ubisoft's marketers wrote in a recent advertisement that The Division, quote-unquote, blows Destiny out of the water, according to website GameZone. Impressive, right? Well, the actual article that was put out in GameZone, the headline was The Division blows Destiny out of the water, with 6.4 million beta players. So it had nothing to do with the actual gameplay. It had to do with the amount of people that played the beta. So Destiny had 4.6 million people play the beta, while the Division so far has had 6.4. So Ubisoft decided to take some creativeness with this line and made it sound like they had said that it would just blow it out of the water. So the website had come out, stated that wasn't correct, and kind of blowing up Ubisoft's spot there. Also, there was another quote in this same advertisement that they're spreading around that IGN says it's the best new franchise. IGN did say it was the best new franchise from E3 2013 when the game was originally announced. So IGN thought it was the best new franchise revealed at E3 in 2013. So I don't want to crap on the game or anything like that. I do think it's going to be really cool. It's bad juju for Ubisoft to be kind of doing these things here. The internet is where stories go to be quoted till the end of time. So for you to try and take something and manipulate it and not think you're going to get caught is a little foolish. So, shame on them for that. Overall, I am really excited for the Division and can't wait to get my hands on it personally. So that ties directly from Jake's story to my story. So, Donnie, you're up. What do you got for us this week?
I'm going to touch on a topic that we broached last week, but we kind of just hit on it. And it is a news story, but I am going to kind of turn it into a topic, if you don't mind, Kevin. And South African retailer Raru published BioShock Collection for release on Xbox One and PS4. Now, this is a few days after we got news from Capcom that they were remastering Resident Evil 6, 5, and 4, coming out in that order over the next 8 months, and they'll be out by 2016. I'm excited for the BioShock Collection. I played the first one. I didn't finish it. I really liked the world. I would totally buy that collection. Resident Evil 4 is a great game. I want to play it again, especially if they remaster it like they're saying they are. I mean, the reason that we're waiting for that so long, according to Capcom, is that it takes more time to work. I think we're just going to get a PC port of the HD version. But I really wanted to bring up the topic of remastering games. A lot of podcasts that I listen to have talked about remastered games, especially when this console generation launched. It really felt like we were getting a lot of remastered games. I'm playing a remastered game today. I took the day off to play Twilight Princess HD, and I'm loving it. I love HD remasters, and I kind of feel like maybe I'm in the minority there. I understand that everybody wants new games. However, I don't feel like remasters usually take a whole lot of time from a development team. Usually, I think companies port this out to lesser-known development teams. So I kind of feel like you're getting the development on the new stuff that you want from the teams that you want, but you're also getting the best version of this game that you already know. Because, I mean, quite frankly, we're not getting remastered versions of Rusty's Real Deal Baseball or some other game. I mean, the games that get remasters are games that deserve remasters. We're getting The Last of Us remastered, Dishonored remastered, Twilight Princess HD remastered, Wind Waker remastered. I mean, really, really good games. I love remasters because I think, to me as a consumer, they generally mean that the game was well received and liked. I never got to play Mass Effect. I played the third one a little bit on Wii U, but trust me, jumping into the third one in that series is not the way to go. If they made a remastered version of that game, I would totally play it just to give it a go, just to see what all the fuss is about. I just didn't get into it. For whatever reason, when everybody was playing it, I was playing other things. I'm sorry, but I just never got there.
You're gonna have to play it, otherwise your gamer card's being revoked, man. You have not played a Mass Effect game, like, come on. I was a PlayStation guy, and even I've played 2 and 3 at least. Come on.
I was playing Elder Scrolls, I think, at the time. I mean, I put a lot of time into Skyrim and GTA. So, I mean, what do you think about a BioShock collection? I think that's a great game, especially if you're getting a collection. If you're getting 1, 2, and Infinite, I mean, I've played a little Infinite just because I got it for free somewhere. That game looked good on 360. I would love to see what that game looks like on PS4, Xbox One. But, I mean, I want to know what you guys think of remasters. I think it's a good topic. With all this remastering news with the Resident Evil and BioShock and Twilight Princess, I want to know what you guys think about remastered games.
All right, I'll bite. You got me on this one here. So I'm in the same boat as you on this one. If it's an actual remaster, not a port with some spruced up graphics, I'm all for it. BioShock 1 would be one I'd definitely be interested in. Probably not at $60 retail, to be honest. I did play all 3 of those games. I beat all 3 of those games. But I do know BioShock 1 did not age very well. Controls are a little bit clunky, ran a little bit slow. Still an amazing story and an amazing game, don't get me wrong. But if they remaster it and kind of give it the same gameplay mechanics that BioShock Infinite had, I think they have a slam dunk right there. And actually, I would buy it and play it all over again. I think remasters definitely work. Like you said, content has to be good. It has to be a AAA title that was well liked. I want to see an actual remaster, not just a port. If they do the Resident Evil 4 port from the PC version, to me that's not really worth it. It already exists. You're just putting it on a console. I do think it is a fantastic opportunity for gamers who may have missed out on titles. So it's in my pile of shame right now, my backlog, Dishonored Definitive Edition. I'm looking at it right now. I did not play Dishonored on PS3, but I heard all the great things about it. So when they said, hey, we're going to put it on PS4, and you'll get all the DLC for it, awesome, slam dunk. I'm excited to play it. I will get to it eventually, but that grabbed my attention. So I'm all for remasters as long as it's done right. It's all good in my book. Jake, what do you think?
You know what I think. Pokemon's been remastered for ages now. Pokemon's a great game. As long as they do it right, like you said, but when they put a game, and I'm going to contradict myself because I'll pay $40, $50 for a Pokemon game any day of the week, whether it's the same game I bought when I was 8 years old to when I'm 20, 26 years old. But you can't just put like a $60 tag on that, and I feel like that's what they're going to be doing. But then again, on the other side of it, when you're getting a remastered, you're not just getting one game. Most likely you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4. And I believe with the remastered on the Resident Evil, they're giving you 3 games, right? 4, 5, and 6.
You're getting, yeah. I should mention. I'm remiss. The retailer that listed the BioShock collection is also the retailer that listed Mewtwo Amiibo early, so it is somewhat reputable. And yes, Resident Evil 6, 5, and 4 will release in that order at 20, 20, and 20. And the listing for the BioShock collection was 60, and presumably you're getting BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite, so 20, 20, and 20. Kind of matching that Nathan Drake collection, and, I mean, even more of a value proposition, the Halo collection, which was... there's a bunch of games. It was way more than 3 games. There's like 8 games in that package or something.
Oh, I know, definitely, but there was only one really remastered game on there. The rest were all other Halo games that looked exactly the same when they were on the Xbox 360. So for $60, that was kind of hit below the belt for a lot of Xboxers because that was one of their flagship game, or not a flagship game, but a game that holds a lot of little something in my heart.
A little sentimental. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say I bought an Xbox One to play that game. Now, I sold that Xbox One when I was done playing that game, but I bought an Xbox One just to play that game because I had never played it. Like the Mass Effect, I had made my life as a gamer for so long without playing a Halo, and I was like, I've got to see what all the fuss is about. So I wanted to be Halo 1 and 2, and I love the fan service that they put into that game with the Halo channel and all the videos and the remastering of 2, all the cutscenes and everything. I mean, I just think that was like a labor of love. I guarantee you, I feel like the development on the Halo collection probably lost money.
Oh, probably. But yeah, I love remastered games. Wind Waker is fantastic, remastered. Ocarina of Time on the 3DS was great. Every single Pokemon game that comes out was fantastic. So yeah, I'm all for remastered games.
Kyle, how do you feel about remastered remasters?
I think that remasters are a cheap cash grab. No, I'm just kidding. I just don't want to agree with everyone, but I feel the same way you all do. I think that, yeah, like Donnie had said, often those remasters are given to port studios that's what they do. That's their job, is to remaster these games. Or they're done by studios trying to understand the new tech. You hear that Naughty Dog did The Last of Us, and they said it was instrumental in them being able to understand how to develop for the PlayStation 4, and one of the reasons that Uncharted 4 looks so good is because they were able to do that remaster with The Last of Us. So I'm all for it. I think it gives people a chance to play a game that they may have missed, and I don't really think it typically takes away from the development of new games like some people says it does.
One thing I would like to just tack on to the end of the conversation before we move on, I feel like remasters often give a game a new life. I mean, obviously it does because it brings it to a non-console, but also there are games that just can't run. Right? Like we've got Xbox One with Xbox 360 compatibility. We've still yet to see GameCube emulation, and from my understanding and reading tons of blogs and everything, it's that GameCube's really hard to emulate for because of the processing and architecture that Nintendo set up with GameCube. Quite honestly, you'd have to kind of rework the game to bring it. So, like I said, I'm playing Twilight Princess today, and it looks beautiful, and I can't help but think that without a remaster, without giving this to somebody and going, all right, I need you to bring this code up to snuff, we'd never get that game again. And I feel like it kind of takes the best of what we had in the past, and it doesn't just bring it to where we are now, but it also gives it a hope for it living indefinitely beyond that. It kind of gives it an upgrade, and it's like, hey, we're going to bring this game with us, and who knows, maybe the next time we go to the next leap and the next leap, maybe this game will continue to be around. I look back at some of the great games of the NES and the SNES and the Sega generation, Sega Saturn. I mentioned before in an earlier podcast I had a Sega Saturn. There are games back on the Sega Saturn that you just can't play anymore. Like, you gotta go and find a Sega Saturn that actually works and find the game and the CRT and stuff like that. So I feel like remasters really kind of give a game, especially the ones that deserve it, new legs to kind of live on, not just today, not just where we are right now, but for the future.
I agree. All right, so I think we're ready to move on to the mailbag. We did get a couple questions mailed in again, but we're going to start off with one that was sent to us last week that we didn't quite have time to get to because we ran a little bit long. So Drew wrote to us on Facebook. He wants to know our honest thoughts on Battlefield Hardline. A lot of the Battlefield regulars don't like it. On its own, I feel like it's a great game with a refreshing storyline and concept. Kyle, you have any take on this?
The cover art is okay. That's my thing. I'm not a Battlefield guy. I've never been a Battlefield guy. I played the Hardline beta for like 20 minutes and realized how much of a Battlefield player I am not. So I have nothing useful to contribute to this. I'm sorry.
All right, Donnie, you have any take on it?
I love Battlefield Hardline. I think it was a great game. I agree with Drew. I like the whole crooked cop kind of anti-hero campaign story that it had. No spoilers, but it was really good. It was cheesy. Kind of felt like a early 90s cop sitcom, kind of LA Vice out in California. But it was really good. The multiplayer is always good in Battlefield. I mean, always. I don't play a whole lot of multiplayer, but I did play that one, and it was absolutely crazy. And when I say that one, I rented the game and I played it over the weekend, so I hope I'm not misspeaking. Battlefield Hardline was the game that I could drive a couch and shoot people with, right? Am I the only one that remembers that? I'm not sure if it was Battlefield 4. I think it was Battlefield Hardline because I think I played Battlefield 4 on PS3. I'm not sure if that didn't come out on PS3 or not. So, I mean, that's kind of like right when I was changing consoles. So my memory's a little vague. Again, I usually rent Call of Duties and Battlefields because I usually play them about a week or so and then send them on their way. But I believe in the Battlefield Hardline game, I could drive a couch and shoot people. So, I mean, who's got a problem with that? You can drive a couch and shoot folks.
I want to isolate from our first 4 episodes just a bunch of random sound clips from what Donnie has said. Because, I mean, there's been things like, I love shooting dinosaurs. I love jumping on things. I love driving couches and shooting people.
That's right.
You're going to get us committed or something. We're going to end up on a watch group. All right, I'll go last. Jake, do you have any take on Battlefield Hardline at all?
I played a lot of Battlefield games, but that was one that I slept on. I never picked it up. My only knowledge of it is actually listening to Hall talk about it in MTTG, hashtag Hall is gone. Yeah, so that's the only thing that I have any knowledge about is through the podcast. So, I mean, I played a lot of cop games, LA Noire, and they're not my forte.
All right, so I'll give my take on it. So overall, I agree with Donnie. I think it was a very good game. It was very tongue-in-cheek, if you will. Came off a little bit cheesy, but I almost feel like it was intentional, kind of like Far Cry Blood Dragon, where it was like, hey, we're going to be over the top. We're going to be, dramatic and cheesy about it, Duke Nukem style. I think it was very tongue-in-cheek there. I have absolutely no problem with it. I thought it was a great game, but to me, it wasn't a Battlefield. So I feel like they almost put Battlefield on it simply to try and get the Battlefield players to buy it and not really let them know, like, hey, this isn't going to be a typical Battlefield. So I feel it was an instance of one of those games where they slapped a familiar name onto it when it really wasn't that at its core. And it's okay that it wasn't that at its core. I had no problem with it. It wasn't a Battlefield. So that's it to me. Like, I like seeing games branch out and try new things. It's probably why I'm a big Nintendo fan, because they historically do new things with their existing franchises. So I know a lot of Battlefield regulars did not care for it, but I think overall it was a great game. I think the only miss, being the whole crooked cop vibe, is how did you not have it voiced over by Ray Liotta? That's just me. I feel like he always plays the crooked cop, and that would have been great having him as it. But hey, you know what? Here's hoping for Battlefield Hardline 2 then. That's a freebie for you guys right there. Ray Liotta, Battlefield Hardline 2.
I'm glad that you took that stance. I think it's a good stance. I can understand anybody believing that that's not a Battlefield game, but my immediate reaction to your statement is, what is a Battlefield game? And the reason I bring that up is there are a lot of rumors that Battlefield is heading back to World War I this year. So what do you think a Battlefield game is? Because I guarantee you, Battlefield Hardline from Battlefield 4, if these rumors are true that Battlefield is heading back to World War I, those are 3 different games.
It is 3 different games, but it's still at the foundation a war game, and I think that's kind of what Battlefield is. It's war. So it's kind of like when you think about, you guys might be a little young and may not have played it, but Star Fox Adventures came out.
Yes.
That was a great game. I will go out in the limb and say it was a great game. Here's the thing. It was not a Star Fox game. This game was about 80% developed, and Nintendo said, hey, we don't think this will sell unless we have a character in it, and they slapped Star Fox on top of it. That's why there was dinosaurs. Nowhere in Star Fox universe was there dinosaurs before, nor had Fox ever gotten out of his R-Wing, and that was okay. But I think it was just the thing where they tried to skin over it to make something that they didn't feel was going to sell, which it might have still been able to sell, but they didn't feel it, so they slapped a sticker on it to try and market off of that. So I think this was just the case of what Battlefield Hardline did. I'm okay with going back in time. I actually wish Call of Duty would do that. I'm tired of them pushing the limits and be like, okay, we're going to be in space now. You're breaching on Halo's territory then. Don't, stick to what you are or call it something else.
3 words before we move on to the next question in the mailbag. Star Fox Guard.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't know what that is, boys and girls, reminder, listen to our Nintendo Direct reaction that was posted yesterday. As you're downloading this one, go back and download the previous one.
Good plug.
All right, so the next two questions are a little bit similar, but one is more of a direct question and one is kind of an opinion and a question, so I want to give them their own time. So Jill writes in, guys, can we talk some more about couch co-op games? We had brought it up in a previous episode. Maybe I'm showing my age a little bit here, but I'm really nostalgic for these types of games, and the lack of options makes me sad. What are some of your suggestions / favorite couch co-op games? Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work. Donnie was fist pumping as I was reading this, so I'll let you go first on this one.
Jill, I love you. Thanks for listening. I love couch co-op. I play with my kids and my family and my wife constantly, and I agree with you. It's hard to find games that are fun to play. We kind of stick to the regulars. The Wii U is your saving grace for couch co-op right now. You can play Mario Kart and you can play Smash, but even then, those aren't really cooperative as much as you can just kind of play multiplayer together. My favorite co-op game to play with my family right now is Guitar Hero Live. My daughter loves to sing and she loves to dance. I look at my TV right now. We have a mic stand in front of our gaming TV where my daughter puts her microphone in and she does the whole Steven Tyler thing while me and my wife trade turns on the guitar. The other game that we love to play as a family cooperatively is Nintendo Land. I know a lot of people crapped on that game when it was showed off at the Wii U's E3 that we brought up earlier, but that game has two really good games, and that's the Triforce Link game, where you all get to play as a Link character, and one person gets a bow and arrow and the other people get swords, and the Metroid game, where one person gets to drive a spaceship and the other people get blasters. And that is a really good co-op game. The other co-op games that we're playing is Triforce Heroes. We usually play Triforce Heroes at least once or twice a week. It is a great game if you can get everybody in the same room where you can communicate together, because the puzzles are challenging and it's very tense. Like the battling the bosses is very tense. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've had to stop myself from screaming at my 5-year-old from throwing me off at a ledge. It's like, well, we're playing a video game, so I'm not going to ground him right now, but I want to because he's not listening to what I'm saying. And a shameless non-video game plug, we're very big Pokemon fans. I love playing Pokemon cards. We got the cards. To be honest with you, I introduced the cards to my daughter because she was having trouble reading at school. She wasn't, bad or poor grades or anything like that. She just wasn't as good as she could be. So I started playing Rock Band and Guitar Hero with her because the words stream across the screen, and she has to read them in time with speed. And then we started playing Pokemon cards together. And I make her read my attacks and her attacks and all the trainer cards. And literally within a year, she's not having any problems anymore. She's at one of the top of her class, and it's really paid dividends. So we love playing Wii U, we love playing 3DS, we love playing Nintendo games for couch co-op. You know, the multiplayer games, Splatoon, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, but also co-op games like Nintendo Land, Triforce Heroes. If you're in those ecosystems, there's a lot to offer. If you're not in those ecosystems, I mean, I've got 360 and PS4. I tried to play Twisted Metal Black with my kids, and they really dig it. They basically told me that this game isn't as good as Mario Kart, and I agree. And outside of that, I don't have a PS4 game that comes to mind that's a really good couch co-op game for the family.
Do you want me to help with that?
Please enlighten me.
So couch co-op games that you can play. I mean, number one, my fiance, who's not a huge gamer, her and I play Lego games together all the time. So I think Lego games, I always think are a good option. Rocket League is a couch co-op. Towerfall. Helldivers might not be family friendly, nor Diablo, but those are both great couch co-op games. The Trine games, I believe, are couch co-op. Guacamelee. Trying to think of something else off the top of my head.
Kyle, let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
So we're tired of playing Lego games. Like, we played a crap ton of Lego games, and we're just tired of playing Lego games. If you've played one, you've played them all. Towerfall, like, these games that are above my kids, like, they're not going to play. To be quite honest with you, they're above my wife. My wife's not going to play Towerfall.
Guacamelee is awesome though. That's a good.
Guacamelee is awesome. Like we played that on Wii U. You're absolutely right. So is Rumbo on Wii U. Trine we played on Wii U. It is also on PS4. It looks beautiful on PS4. So I would recommend those as well. I don't want to interrupt and just bush into your stuff, but I did want to just say, we're tired of playing Lego games. I do feel like at least on next gen platforms, I won't say this is a Sony specific thing, but on next gen platforms, it does feel like if you're not playing Lego or Disney Infinity, you don't get a co-op thing to do, and I don't like that because Lego and Disney Infinity, they're very similar, and if you've played one of them, you've kind of played them all, and you kind of want a variety. I mean, what are you going to do if somebody beat Lego Marvel Avengers? What, are you going to give them Lego Jurassic World? I mean, they're done with that. They want to play something else.
I understand that. I think the Jackbox Party Packs are really great as well.
You stole my answer.
Good job.
Oh, no.
Good answer. Good answer. Those are great games.
Actually, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, you can do co-op, and I'm having a great time with that game. I think that game is pretty spectacular. And I will throw out the one plug that I'm going to start writing about this more, and I haven't yet. Play some board games. Get some tabletop going. If you have people around together, you don't have to sit in front of a screen. You can do some tabletop games.
It's really funny you say that, Kyle. So when I said the two questions are kind of similar, that point is brought up in the next question. But before we jump on over there, Jake, what's your take on it?
I'm going to give you guys 3 games. Number 1, Mario Party 2, ruins friendships. Play it. It's awesome. The next one, Left 4 Dead. Great franchise, great game to pick up. I mean, you do one mission, there's 4 or 5 chapters in each one. That's a great game, gets you scared, gets you hyped, gets the heart moving. And then the last one, which absolutely everybody should play with their spouse or significant other, is Portal 2. Trying to figure out puzzles and just arguing with each other, it's fantastic.
That's such a good point, Jake. I'm so glad you brought up Portal 2 because I had forgotten about that, and that honestly is a fantastic answer. That's one of those games that will suck somebody in that might not be a gamer. So I like that. I do have to agree with the Lego games are kind of everybody's go-to on this subject, but I kind of agree they're getting a little tired. If they bring something new, then that might pique someone's interest. Like I did have a lot of fun with the Lego Batman games because to me they were a little bit different than what else they were doing. But, I mean, they announced the next Star Wars one, and, I mean, come on, this is like the 8th Lego Star Wars coming out. So that's kind of done. The Jackbox Party Packs, I was going to recommend those too. I think that's a great option. My other option is a little bit along the lines of Jake answering with Mario Party 2. Get an old console. Go pick up an original NES. Everything was co-op. Everything was 2-player back then.
64.
Get an NES and play Bubble Bobble. And if you don't know what Bubble Bobble is, I'm sorry. Because that will go down as one of my favorite games to play with somebody else at the same time because of its complete ludicrousy. But I love it. So those are my picks on it too. But Portal 2 is a great option. I know a lot of people also bring up the Telltale games. You got like Walking Dead, which, yes, they're not really co-op because one person plays it. But because it's story-driven, it might also interest the other people playing at the same time. I do wish they would do a next-gen version of they had this on the PS3 that I played the crap out of, was Buzz Trivia, and you got the little buzzers. You're actually able to answer questions and stuff. That was a great party game. We actually had other people that would bring over their stuff, and you can actually do 8 people at a time on that one on the PS3. So we had a blast with that game. I would love for them to bring it back next-gen. I think the Jackbox is probably the closest thing we got to that going on. So anyway, so to move on to the other question that's similar, it's along the same lines. Josh writes in, first off, great job on the podcast. You guys are consistently killing it. Thank you, Josh. We love you. My question this week is in regards to playing video games with my wife. We have all of the available consoles now. We have tried a few different games together, Disney Infinity, Lego, Marvel, and others, so the infamous ones that everyone talks about. But we still haven't found our sweet spot. Either she struggles with the controls or we just get frustrated with each other. Do you guys have any suggestions for a game for us to try, or should I focus more on board game playing? See? It all comes together. So, Kyle, why don't you go first on this one?
Well, I think that we've mentioned a lot of games, that you can look at playing as far as video games go. But if you're looking for tabletop, I think I'm a big advocate of if you are together with people, let's play a board game, let's play a tabletop game, let's do that. And I think there are a ton of really great tabletop games that you can play. I mean, the typical ones you'll hear people will talk about, like Settlers of Catan, Ticket to Ride, Pandemic, games like that. And those are all really good options. If there's just two of you, I think Seven Wonders Duels is a great option of something you could look at. Might be a really good option for just the two of you. I'm trying to think of something else off the top of my head that's just two players well. That's the only one that's coming to my head, of course, right now. But I think that tabletop and board games, I think, is a really great option when you're together with people because you're not focused on the screen, you're focused on each other. Depending on the game, you can talk between the turns, or sometimes you can talk strategy with other people if you're playing a co-op game. I'm a big fan of them. I'm playing them almost as much, if not more, than I'm playing video games right now. So I would encourage the continuation of looking at tabletop games and board games. And if we want to talk about it or want recommendations, I'm happy to give some in the future.
But you'll have to go on playsomevideogames.com to read all about it.
Yes.
All right, Jake, why don't you go up next?
Yeah, I mean, I struggled with my wife, trying to get her into gaming. She still doesn't really game too much, but Telltale Games is what's really getting her hooked. The story, just choosing out quick decisions. I mean, she loves that game. She loves Mario Party. Have not wanted to risk anything in Portal yet, but we definitely try that eventually. But Portal's a great game to play. I mean, and when it comes down to frustration, you gotta work it out and just have patience, because especially if you're having somebody who isn't really a gamer and they want to get into it, it's tough. I mean, games are not easy anymore. They're not like they were, regardless of what Kevin would say with Mario back in the day. The game's kind of easy. I might be able to beat it, but yeah, just pick up Portal 2. Portal 2 is a great game. Left 4 Dead's a great game. You can protect her, make yourself the hero.
Always thinking about yourself there. Donnie, what's your take?
So my wife and I have scheduled game nights. It's kind of a little date night for just her and I to do, and we sit down and we play a video game together, and we usually order something special to eat. We order out, it's usually steak or something from a restaurant. Games that we like to play, we play Mario games. We play Mario 3, play Super Mario World. We trade controllers every time somebody dies. It feels cooperative, because we were both kind of getting each other to the next checkpoint. I die just as often as she does, even though I love Nintendo games and I've played way longer than she has. I've noticed that I always try to fight all the enemies while she just runs by them. I don't know if that's a male versus female thing.
It's fight or flight. Fight or flight.
Yeah, I'm like, I've got to kill all the turtles. She's like, you don't have to kill anybody. You can just jump over them and keep going. Games that we played together that we really liked, we played Her Story. Neither of us liked it, to be honest with you, but we did play it together and we found it fun. We played, again, here comes those names the name of the title. It's not Edith Finch. What is the PlayStation? Kyle, help me. The PlayStation walk-around explorative game that came out that was exclusive early last year.
Early last year?
Yeah, come on.
Are you talking about the one from the Chinese room that came out in August that Everybody's Gone to the Rapture?
Yes, we played that game. We didn't like it either. But we did walk around in that game and we played it. The games that we really liked, the highlights that really got to us, we played Life is Strange together, which I think is more of an active game compared to the Telltale series. We played Gone Home together, which was really good. I gave her the controller and I kind of let her go around and I kind of steered her. So I didn't really play that game. I didn't really take over. I just kind of said, all right, you're controlling, and I'm just going to give you tips. And I kind of sat there on my 3DS while she was playing, and we kind of did that together. We played Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars, which is a puzzle game on 3DS and Wii U. That's a really good game. We traded the controller, but even though we traded the controller, the way that game sets up is there are like springs that you can hop to platforms, and then there are like levers that you can change, but you can only have so many. And so you kind of set it up the way that you think it's going to go, and then you kind of start the mechanism, and you got to get your little Mario to the next side of the platform. That's a really good game. At least my wife, in the instance of my wife, she likes simple games. She doesn't want to get involved in a story, and she doesn't want to sit down and play something that's going to take more than 3 hours. She likes arcade games. She likes getting in, playing something for 5 minutes and getting out, and then jumping back in. So we play a lot of Pac-Man. Board games, we play Uno, we play Yahtzee. We don't play Monopoly. I have Monopoly. We tried to play it. It didn't turn out too well. It just got so long. We were like, we're all tired of doing this. So we have short attention spans is what I'm trying to get at. And these are the types of games we play. We did beat Super Mario 3 together, which was really, really fun and really special. That's one of the best games ever made. It's not my favorite Super Mario game, but it's probably the best Super Mario game in terms of level design. It's really quick. Each level lasts no more than 2 or 3 minutes apiece, so it's real easy to sit down next to each other, curl up under a blanket, and trade controllers. So all of those games are the ones that I would offer up for you to give a try, just maybe a different perspective.
I gotcha. Excellent. I have a couple others that we kind of didn't touch upon, at least not this time. I think we brought them up in the past, but other things besides the ones we kind of always talk about, your Lego and Infinity and whatnot. For the Wii U, I have a couple suggestions there, only because, like Donnie had said previously, that's the best one for couch co-op or to play with somebody else. And me and my wife are constantly looking for a game to play together, to be honest. So, like, once we beat it, we're looking for something else. And right now, we're actually struggling with this for a good Wii U title for both of us to play. But some of the standbys, I think my number one pick probably for the Wii U would be Pikmin 3. Great game, a ton of fun. And the multiplayer is pretty in-depth. There's levels where you work together for your goals. There's levels where you pit against each other. There's a lot there in multiplayer on Pikmin 3, which is a little surprising, but great game. Coming out as a Nintendo Select, so you'll be able to scoop it up for $20, so you can't go wrong there. Other ones that we enjoyed, as well as Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. Not 2 players per se, but the second person can assist the first one while playing. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker was another great one. People can play together. Yoshi's Woolly World was the last one we played together, and we literally, as I said before, unlocked every single thing in that game. We kept, playing it until we were able to. And then Animal Crossing. Literally any iteration of Animal Crossing is a ton of fun. You don't necessarily play together at the same time, but you live in the same village. You're able to pass back and forth. You're able to trade items, be on the lookout for certain things that the other person wants. A lot of fun, and is really light and easy to pick up. You can play it for, an hour. You can play it for 5 minutes. It works either way. And then on the tabletop gaming side, I don't have a ton of experience with that. We kind of have to look for games that we can play with the kids as well. But one I did pick up recently was a game called Machi Koro, which is a card game where you kind of build your city up using the cards that have effects on other people. So you might open a convenience store, which anytime somebody rolls a 2, you gain $100 or whatever the case is. So it's a lot of fun. Quick, takes about 30 minutes to an hour to play around of that, so it's nice and light. For 2 to 4 players. If you get the expansion pack, you can play up to 5. That was pretty fun, and you can get it at Target for out of all places. I think it was $30 or $40 for the game, so not too expensive, and it was a lot of fun. So it's my recommendation. If you haven't played that up, is Machi Koro. But that's kind of all I got for the spouse question as far as getting your wife involved and playing games together. But I do think that's something everybody should do, to be honest. But
really quick, since I had some time to think, I have a couple other tabletop recommendations.
Go for it.
So Castles of Burgundy would be an excellent option, as with a game called Japur, which is only a 2-player game, but it's going to be very solid. Lords of Waterdeep would be a very good option if you've ever played Euros or haven't played Euros. That'd be a really good one to learn on. Lost Cities is an excellent game. Race for the Galaxy would be a really, really good option. And then I think probably, the Duke might be a good one for you. As well as Pixel Tactics, I think would probably be a list of games that you could definitely kind of take a look at. None of those are going to be too deep, but if you don't play a lot of tabletop, most of those won't be too daunting to get into.
That's awesome, Kyle. I'm really excited to see you get some of this stuff up on the site, because I'd be really interested in learning more about this. Whenever you're looking for tabletop games, at least in my opinion, probably not being too much into that culture, it's kind of hard to find out what the games are actually about. You see the box and they want $40 to $60, and you're like, okay, well, but what am I doing? What's in this box? So I think you're onto something here for the site, and I'd be excited to see you get some stuff up, maybe some photos and stuff like that. It'd be really cool. So looking forward to it, man. So that's cool. That's all we got for today, folks. So really quick, does anybody want to plug anything they're working on for the site right now before we move on?
So we did the podcast again for the Nintendo Direct, and that's a loaded podcast. There's a lot of news. I'm not going to cover it all. There's a Paper Mario SNES for 3DS. You need to go listen. We're on YouTube now. We're loading all of our podcasts to YouTube, so if you're not one of those folks that carries Stitcher or iTunes or Pocket Cast or any of those podcasting services on your phone, we're on YouTube. Go subscribe to us, play some video games. You can listen to all of our podcasts over on YouTube. For anybody that doesn't subscribe to podcasts on the regular.
Absolutely, and I know I did promise last week that I was working on Superhero Saturdays, but the editing for the last episode took a little bit long, so I did not get to it. I will commit to doing it this week, so there will be a weekly installment for me on top of the other things I do weekly, recapping all superhero news for the week. I know Jake said he's working on his review of Far Cry Primal. Now he's put more time into it, too. Is that correct, Jake?
Yeah, that is correct. That should be up hopefully by Monday is what I'm aiming for.
Awesome. And then, Kyle, I know you said some tabletop games. You working on anything else for us?
Yeah, I mean, the tabletop games, I'm playing through Broforce right now, doing some Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, as well as Volume, so probably be looking for some reviews on those things pretty quick here in the future as well.
Awesome. So, once again, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Tell a friend. PlaySomeVideoGames.com, Facebook.com/PlaySomeVideoGames. As Donnie said, we're on YouTube, so you don't have to download the podcast. You can stream them at work. Once again, please share with a friend. Rate us on iTunes. I think we're working on a little contest coming up, so stay tuned for that. Hint, 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 hint. And that's it, folks. So thanks again for joining us. Stay tuned for next week, and make sure to visit us on the site. And as always, never stop gaming.
Okay, guys, I am sorry I took a little bit longer to get ready, but man, there's a lot to go through on this Xbox event. But I think we're all set to go now. But you guys are gone. Seriously? I mean, this is what I get for having to go buy ink and print stuff out. Why did I even print this out anyway? Okay. Hello? Yeah, I need to talk to Mr. Spencer. Yeah, we need to cancel the interview, if that's okay. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. It just didn't work out for this week. Maybe another time? Hello? I guess it's time to go play some video games.